Hello, sixth grade. This is your art project number 16, the Christmas bell that you're going to be doing. The first step is to cut the outside of the circle all the way around. Now, I've tried. There are two circles that you're given in there. If you notice in your booklet, it tells you there are two circles in case you need a second one, and you probably will need a second one. One thing I just noticed, because I've never done this one before, I know that students had this problem before, and they said they follow directions exactly. Their directions are not terribly clear in the sense that when you're doing the steps, one of the things that you have to do when you're cutting is cut nowhere near as far as you might think you have to. I'll show you in a minute what I'm talking about, because that's what happened with mine. In fact, I'll show you the first one. The first one, I had cut too far. And when I cut them, you notice that they separated. They shouldn't separate. They should all be connected. And that's because I cut right up to the fold, and that's not what you're supposed to do. If you notice that on these circles, there are these thick dotted lines. Well, first you're going to fold on those dotted lines. And secondly, you're going to cut way short of the dotted lines. So don't be afraid to be short of the dotted lines when you're cutting. I'll go ahead and do the fold, and I'll put it on pause for right now. And then, well, first I'll just fold one of the lines and show you that. And so that the dotted line is kind of right in the middle of it. And you're going to don't be afraid to be not way short, but a good bit short of the dotted line when you cut it. Now I'll go ahead and fold the rest of these. I'll put it on pause for right now, and then I'll come back and show you after I've gotten it all folded. Okay, I've got it all folded. You notice that it has a fold. In fact, if you look on the back side, you can see all the things are folded. All right, so now the next step, it says it asks you to put down or fold it in half so that a red part is showing on the bottom right side. Okay, and that's what you're going to do first. Now, it's important when you're cutting to just cut short of that fold, where that fold is. Even if you can't see the line, cut short of the fold. If you don't cut short of the fold, you are going to cut through. As I said, as I was doing that, I was cutting right up to the line, and it's supposed to separate and stay together on certain points, but I cut too close, and so it won't stay because there's not enough paper to hold it together. And so you want to make sure that you cut it you just want to cut it short of that folded line. So don't worry about that it's too far away. If it's too far away, you can always cut a little bit more later. But right now, just cut short, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. I'm going to cut all the way up, and I'm going to leave it short. So you see how I didn't go all the way up to the line. If you can see that there, it didn't go all the way up to the line. I left it short a little bit. All right, so don't be afraid to do that. I'll go ahead and cut all of these. In fact, let me go ahead and do this first row first. And it doesn't take long to cut, but you do have to cut all the circles. Because as I was cutting before, it was going to take me about a total of 10 minutes, I think, altogether. And it might even be faster now that I know what I'm doing, because I was trying to be careful to cut right to the dotted line, but now I'm not going to do that. And so I'm going to save myself a little bit of time. And there's one row cut. Okay. Now, what you do is says just the right side. You're only going to do one side at a time. Okay, not both sides. That's why it says red first. Then you're going to bring it down to the green, or bring the green up, so that you have green on the right side. And you're going to do the same thing for the green. You're going to do that all the way around, all right, until everything is cut. And so I'll pause it and go ahead and do that, and I will do that while here, and I'll show you what the next step is. But before you go to that next step, I just realized I folded it the wrong direction. See, I have this one cut here, and I want to go down the other way so that I have a part that's not cut yet. I don't want to go to the part that's already cut. And so I want to make sure that everything I see on the first half of my cutting is all new stuff. Okay, so that one's cut now. It probably wouldn't have mattered the other way, but it makes it easier as you're doing it to do a part that's not cut already first, all right? Now, in case you didn't stop the video, I'm almost done. I've got 2 more rows to cut. That's a total of 80 cuts altogether, because you have 5 on each one, and there are 8 on each side, so that's 16 times 5, which is 80. Now, The one thing I noticed is that it is easy. You got to be careful. It's easy to accidentally just cut right too close to it. So you got to be careful not to cut, to make sure you cut short, because I think I'm okay, but there may be one or two cuts that I got just a little bit too close because I was trying to be so perfect about it. But on my last one now, on my last row, and the next thing you're going to be doing is you're going to be cutting out those black center areas. Now that's going to be a little bit more difficult to do. If you need to do that, well, let me try it first. I've got two more cuts after, three more cuts after this one, or two more. All right, now I'm going to open it up, and I'm going to, well, I'm not going to open it up, but I'm going to unfold it and see that everything is cut. It looks like everything is going to hold together well. I'll find out once I get everything done. Now, what you're going to do is you're going to fold it now that I've got all the cuts done. You're going to fold it so that the green is on the bottom right. And you notice the next step says to fold the green, to carefully insert scissors and slit at wide end of each black area and cut out all the black areas. Now, that's going to be difficult. However, so this is the black area they're talking about, and so you're going to snip it at the end of the scissors. I would do that for, and that's going to be hard to get the scissors in there. And so I might have to try my, what's it called, the, so you fold down to each green part because that's where the black line is, and you're going to possibly have to use what they're called now, the pen knife or the X-Acto blade, which is, I have two of them, and if you need to do that here, so it's one of these, and so I might have to cut through on a piece of cardboard in order to do that, in order to get it to be able to cut correctly, because I don't think I can get my scissors, at least mine are a little bit bigger, so maybe that's part of the issue. But I don't think I can get my scissors in there. And I'm just cutting on each of these things. It shouldn't be, let me see, there are 8 altogether, so it should be basically 4 cuts. Maybe it'll be 8 altogether, I don't remember. But to get it cut out completely correctly, and so this is, yeah, it's going to be 8 cuts altogether. And then once this is done, and I get those parts out, which I might have to, again, use my X-Acto blade to do that, you'll notice that there are cuts all along the paper now, and it's getting somewhat flimsy. So you want to be careful with it. You don't want to rip it accidentally. That would be a horrible thing to do after you've spent all this time cutting and everything. This really does test your cutting skills. Can you imagine doing this in first grade? Yeah, that wouldn't have worked very well, I don't think. It definitely wouldn't have come out correctly. And even those of you with the best of skills, you need to be careful of this. All right, now, I might try this. I might try snipping the short end as well, and just seeing if doing that will help me, because I think once I do all the short ends as well, and I got to make it really short, I think if I do that, once I get my pen knife, and I think I'm going to have to use a pen knife to do this, and you're more than welcome to borrow mine here at school. Letting you take it home, and I'm not so sure. Some of you may have one. Your moms may have one if they do any kind of crafting or anything like that. They may already have a pen knife at home like that. If you think you can get your scissors in there, you're more than welcome to try. I am going to certainly, we've got how many more cuts here? 3 more cuts. And I'm going to use the pen knife. For me, my fingers are a little bit too big, my scissors are too big, and it would just make it a little bit difficult for me to do. And so I'll go ahead and put it on pause, and then I'll go back and I'll cut these out so that you have it open, and then we can go on to the next part, which is really, you're almost done. All right, now that I've got that cut out, those things, they're all out in the middle. In fact, I'm thinking it might even be good if you just use the penknife for the whole thing. And I actually ripped part of it as I was pulling up one of the pieces out. But I was able to tape it underneath. It's this section right here. And so now the next step says, lay yarn with jingle bells across the remaining yarn. Now the jingle bells, and I've forgotten what the next part is. All right. So the whole idea is this. You're going to take the middle part, and you got to be careful, okay? Because what you're going to do is you're going to pull down on, oh, and I just realized there's a line that I missed. So let me get those cut. And so sometimes you'll see that. Oh, no, that's not a line missed, is it? Okay. Yeah, it looks like I missed one line here. And so, so what I'll do is I'll cut through that one. I'm going to make sure I cut short, of course, because otherwise I'm going to really cause myself some problems. Thought I had finished them all, but apparently had not. Too much of a rush. All right, so now I've got them all done. So now I can give you yarn to do this if you want. You'll put the yarn in the middle part, and then you'll basically open up your belt. And so you'll see as you start to pull on it, and you don't want to pull hard, but you want to open it up. You want to separate the sections, and because what will happen is you'll see these type of patterns come out. And so as you see those type of patterns come out, that will help you to get your belt expanded. Now, a piece of yarn in the middle might be a good help for you, but you got to pull on all the parts. Now, this is where you find out how well you cut. That's one of the things. And also how it is supposed to eventually look. So I'm going to keep working on this and try to get it expanded to all of the way that it's supposed to be expanded. You notice that every other one is connecting, and that's what it's supposed to do. All right, and so it should connect at every other one. And so let's see, I'm continuing to do this now. All right, so you see now I've got more of an area here, and so I'm working on this. This is a slow process, and so you've got to be patient as you're pulling, as you open it up, okay? And eventually you're going to get to the point where it's all opened up, and I'm kind of pulling and separating and getting it so that it will open up completely like a bell. And so as I'm working on this, I'll go ahead and pause so that you don't have to wait and watch me as I'm doing this. Now you can see my bell is expanding. So what I did, just to help you out, I just basically did the top part, you know, like up here. As I was pulling, I would just pull just the top part to pull it out. You can see the one part that had come apart there. But then as I pull down, you can see it starts to get that bell shape. And so basically everything should be holding together. Nothing really pops out or anything. But it's very important to make sure you don't cut too close to the edges of the, I mean, when you're cutting those lines, to cut too close. So you can see now it's really starting to take that bell shape. And so as I am doing this, and I'm trying to, try to stretch the top out because that was the tightest part. Once I get that stretched out, and I'm basically just pulling on the top while holding that top part. And so you can see now, I can probably pull down on my bell all the way, okay? And it's what you're doing is you're kind of folding the paper or pulling the paper, bending the paper into place. And that's really what you're supposed to do. Now, I don't have the bells. I do have the yarn. If you have bells, and it's not a bad idea to have them. I've seen them with bells. They look really nice with the bells, and they sound really nice. It does add a little bit extra weight, but now you can see I'm starting to get everything folded into place, and so it all starts to come into shape. But it does take a little bit of expansion to do that. So, well, I'm going to stop there. I'm running out of time here, and so my bell is not completely finished yet, but I'll keep working on it to get it expanded. And you can, of course, do it too, but you notice like I'm pulling just to keep stretching it out. And then not pulling too hard to break the paper, but just to keep it so it bends into position in a sense. All right? Well, hopefully that helps you. It helped me just to do it once because I had never done it before. And so now I understand a lot better. I do remember, though, thinking before, oh, I have to make sure to tell them not to cut too far into the paper. And when it says up to the dotted line, you really want to come short of the dotted line, especially since this doesn't fold perfectly all the time either. All right. Well, that's it. There's my bell. Hopefully your bell will look better than that, a little bit better. I'll work on it, and we'll have that assignment done. Have a good day. Bye.